And we are back with another episode of Fly and the Other Guy. Episode 5. Time flies when you're podcasting, apparently.
It really is. It's like a week by week basis, and the week just passes by so quickly, and suddenly, it's time for another podcast.
Yeah, I like the routine that we have down. We've been recording Thursday, recording Sunday. We'll kind of see where we fall into it, but it kind of gives a little bit of structure to the week that I enjoy.
Yeah, towards the later portions of the week, we get some ideas together, look at what people send over and things like that. It's nice. I like it.
Yeah. So we got a good one today. We will do a little Shopify team update, kind of see if anything we broke we talked about the news last time with the new team. We'll see. We'll talk a little bit about that. Then the one get ready for everyone to clip what you say. You're gonna rank the top 5 hardest players to lane against. Are you nervous putting this list together? What are your thoughts?
I have a feeling people are going to be putting up on the internet, like a fly said this and that. But it'll be cool. I gave different scenarios, so we'll get into that.
Okay. Yeah, there's already been a few mini news stories where they'll say something you said in the podcast, and so far mostly take it in context. It feels like at some point there will be some things taken out of context. So I'm kind of looking forward to that and kind of also not looking forward to that.
We'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Then we'll do another AskReddit segment. I kind of like, we're getting segments, and I like that. I like structure. The AskReddit segment has been pretty popular. Last week we did fruit, favorite fruit. There was some takes in your Discord about fruit.
Yeah. I think I forgot to mention that durian is actually the worst fruit. I couldn't think of it on the spot, so I take back my answer. That's my answer now. So
I've never heard of durian before.
I can't wait for you to try it. It'll be a great experience.
What is the where is this fruit from?
I want to say it's originated in Southeast Asia. It's very pungent, and it has a very particular taste, and most people don't like it, and some people really love it. So
is it what's its like sister fruit? Is it like a peach? Is it closer to an orange? Is it like a pear? What is it like?
I don't think it's like anything. I actually don't know. So we'll have to get you this one day. Actually, that'll be hilarious.
All right, I'll give that a shot. Maybe we'll try it on the podcast.
Ooh, that'll be fun.
Okay,
that'll be fun.
And then we'll wrap things up with a little listener question as well. Before we get to any of the things, though, the holiday season's coming up. I celebrate Christmas. What do you typically do for the holidays? Like, you hang out with family? Ebony, what do you guys do?
Yeah, so I celebrate Hanukkah, but honestly, before moving to the US, I haven't celebrated any holidays for years.
Okay.
Because being a pro player, you're constantly on the road, and I actually didn't really celebrate anything forever.
Oh.
So, yeah. I'm not even sad about it. It's kind of, it's just part of the life. But coming back into like living in New Jersey and living, near Ebony, I did start celebrating like Christmas and things like that. And it's nice. I appreciate the family time.
Yeah. I mean, for me, that's always been the main thing, is like work and everything gets super busy, like that 5-day a week grind. And then get a couple of days to hang out with the family and people come and visit is fun. We actually had a little cookie decorating. I have a 2.5-year-old son. You have Ebony's got a nephew who's similar age, and then some other friends came over. And I don't know if people know this or if people would expect this, but the kids love you, man. My son Kakai absolutely loves you, and so does your nephew. What's the secret?
Honestly, I have no idea. I used to be terrified of children, I wouldn't want to come anywhere near them. And then slowly I've gotten to, know them a little better, and like, they're not that bad. I play with them. I don't do anything really. They seem to like it.
Yeah, I would say that when I watch, you're kind of just there. You kind of have this calming influence over them that I find interesting, because they have all the energy, and instead of matching their energy, you're kind of this springboard for their own energy.
Yeah, they just kind of do their own thing, and then if I move away, Kai would be like, "Hey, where are you going?" I come back and I just sit there and I don't do anything, and that's good enough.
Yeah, so that's interesting. I have to take some notes. I'm gonna have to try that. But all right, let's get into some Dota stuff. Any any team updates? Like we're recording this on the 18th of December. DPC starts in a couple weeks, probably about 3 weeks or so. Do you guys have dates as to when you're going out to Toronto or anything like that?
Yeah, so we're slated to get to Toronto on January 3rd, I believe. Hopefully everything goes well with Abed's visa. He needs a visa. I think everybody else is kind of good to go when it comes to Canada. So no update on that part, but if all goes well, January 3rd.
Are you are you excited to spend some time in Toronto? Is that a city you're pretty familiar with, or?
Yeah, I was born on the outskirts of Toronto, but
Okay.
yeah, but Toronto is actually a really cool city. It's got everything. Not exactly, I would say, like New York or anything, but it's just like a hip city, you know. So it's a cool place, and we're gonna be really downtown, like where Shopify is.
So they'll be a little bit better than like when you were with EG. You guys were just like in a Virginia suburb near no cities.
Yeah, we are basically kind of getting an Airbnb somewhere and hooking up computers in the middle of nowhere. So we will have some stuff around us, like if we want to do anything.
The I took a video tour on the YouTubes of Shopify's like headquarters where they spent all the money and built this brand new like state of the art esports headquarters, and it looks kind of awesome. Like if anybody hasn't checked out this video yet, definitely look it up. And there's the room with all the computers where you guys will be playing is super clean. It looks almost better quality than some of the tournaments you might have been to play at.
Probably, I think
Yeah,
so.
yeah, that's fair. There's a streaming podcast like room. Well, actually, it's not a podcast room. I think that was a Freudian slip. But maybe one day you might be able to record the podcast from there. Um, but yeah, they have like a streaming room for you guys. They have like a game room. They have like a lounge for you to play non Dota games. They have a kitchen. They have so much stuff. I mean, you've got to be pretty excited for it.
I'm really excited. It looks awesome. It looks like it's in a really good location. Definitely excited for like the streaming room slash like the first thing I told you when I saw the video I was like, oh look, I can have a podcast room.
Yeah, yeah.
And you're saying you were thinking the same thing. So
Yeah, the non gaming room, the non Dota gaming room seems pretty cool. Yeah, what type of game do you think you would play to relax from Dota?
it's so I've been already thinking about this because I'm pretty sure I saw that they have a PS5, and
Okay,
I've been wanting to have a PS5 just so I can play the other Dark Souls games that are only in PS5, like
okay,
Demon Souls.
you're a Dark Souls guy.
Yeah, yeah. So my type of relaxing is, of course, more pain and suffering, just like Dota. So that's actually what I
It's
would
all
want
you
to
know,
do.
right?
Yeah.
Um, so this is probably the best setup that you'll have had.
I think so. I will say there's like a pretty big difference between like an office setup and a house setup,
Hmm.
because in an office setup, in a way, it's more like you're going to work, and in a house setup, it's like you're just sleeping there, you're eating there, everything is just there, and sometimes that can be a bad thing in the long run. So I think I actually might prefer an office.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, if you don't leave the house, you almost feel trapped. I mean, it to me, it kind of
Hmm.
reminds me of when I was in grad school in New York City. I spent almost all my time at the school. They had like a student center floor, library, computers. We probably I was probably there from 7 to 8 at night. Either doing in class or studying, or whatever. But it was fun. They had a cafeteria. They had a place to hang out. They had a recreation room. So, but then you still got to go home and have kind of like your separate place from all of the people you were in school with. So for you, you guys could hang out, bond as a team, and then still go home and have a little bit of like separate life, which I think will be a good thing.
Exactly.
All right, let's get to the the clickbait, the aggregated where people are going to take misquote you. They're going to take you out of context.
Let's do it.
It's going to be great. So you're going to rank. your top 5 toughest players to lane against. And I think this is something that we can try to do in future podcasts, right? Because if there's not any major news announcement going on, um, we need stuff to talk about. And who doesn't love lists and ranking things and
It's
causing
true.
controversy? It's a great way to have a take.
Now, is it okay that it's just the top 5, but in no particular order? Because it's really hard to choose like the number one hardest, because they're all good at different things, you know?
Okay. That's a little bit of a cop out already. Like I think that's already it's a little bit of but I think
Okay. I can list it. I can list it.
I mean, well we'll say at the top, right? And this is the part that won't be included in when this gets taken out of context that these are all very similar. They're all very hard. The top 5 hardest. You'll give an order, it'll make it funnier, and we'll go from there. So
All right.
I guess
All right. That's it.
yeah the first thing we got to tackle is what makes someone hard to lane against.
So, what makes someone hard to lane against? I definitely think there's different ways of making a lane difficult. And sometimes it's people who come up with a plan going into the lane, like, hey, we're going to play it this way. We have a very specific way of playing it. And then you have other players who are very like instinct based. They sort of have a rough idea in mind, but then they will adapt on the fly. No pun intended. And then so you have different types of players, but generally speaking, it does come back to your Dota IQ. Like when you come to the lane, like you need mechanical skill and you need a high Dota IQ, because you need to understand every different scenario. When are your power spikes? When are the enemy's power spikes? And you need to play around that knowledge.
Okay. What's would you say what's your when you go into a lane, what's your approach?
So I definitely try to, like, I'll talk to my carry first, because as a support, you want to be able to follow your core's point of view. Like if he has a way that he wants to play the lane, I'm gonna try to do my best to accommodate to him. If he doesn't, then I will try to come up with a plan for us. Like this is
Okay.
how I want to play. It does change a lot because it's going to change the heroes. Like, say, for example, I play Chen. I had a very specific idea in mind, like how I'm going to play versus what as well. So, say, for example, I would play Chen versus a Mirana who can kill my creeps. I would have a different plan. I would go into the lane thinking, like, I'm going to focus on hitting this guy and not focus on getting creeps, as a random example.
Mm-hmm.
So, it does come back to having a plan, especially for me.
Well, how do you balance? And maybe it just depends on the matchup, but how much do you balance empowering your carry versus trying to harass and shut down like the enemy offlaner?
That does depend on the matchup, because you will have to do things differently. If you're playing in an unfavorable matchup, you're going to be happy just surviving the lane. Like going 50-50 is your goal here. But if you're in a favorable matchup, then you will probably be more aggressive. You're going to try to, go 60-40 or 70-30. So that's kind of how you look at it, and pretty much in numbers, really.
Gotcha. The I guess the other part I was thinking about, what I was thinking about this ranking was like, who takes more of your focus in a lane? Is it the opposing off lane? Like, I didn't know who you were going to rank. Were you going to rank threes or were you going to rank fours, right? In who's hard to lane against. So like who takes more of your focus in that matchup?
So again, like in Dota, everything does depend. But usually it's gonna be the 4 that takes more of your focus, because you're sort of battling the 4.
Okay.
I would say most of the time you end up battling the 4 a lot as the 5, and then occasionally you hit the other guy, or like you do some combo move. But yeah, that's pretty normal, I would say.
So you ranked mostly fours then?
No, I definitely ranked core players.
Okay.
You'll see. We'll
Okay,
get there.
okay. All right. Let's get there. I'm sure I've stalled enough for the topic. So number 5. Now this is going to be slightly in ascending order of difficulty, right?
Okay, yeah. So
right.
5 being like the easiest of the hard laners to play
But
against.
already these are already difficult. These are all very difficult people to lane against.
Okay, so
Okay.
for number 5, I have my good buddy Ice Ice Ice.
Okay.
And I will give a special shout out to DJ because that lane in particular was very annoying. And this
Hmm.
is basically what classifies Ice Ice Ice. It's just he's annoying.
Yeah.
He's an annoying person to lane against. I definitely think the way he played, especially like years ago, it was probably stronger because people didn't know Dota as much.
Hmm.
But his goal in the lane, he would come to the lane and he would always choose to annoy you over having a good game for himself if he has the choice.
Okay.
You know, so he would go for a deny over a last hit any day. Yeah, that's just the kind of person he is. He
Yeah.
would pull waves not for 2 minutes. He would pull waves for 7 minutes just to annoy you. Like he'll do those types of things, and that's always somebody like I respect that gameplay. And when you call somebody annoying in Dota, it's a compliment. You know.
Yeah. No, definitely, you mean it in a compliment. I'm just already thinking ahead to Fly calls Ice 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 annoying, and then that's that's the title. It's great. I've already. This is fantastic. All right,
This is
so
going
he's
well.
yeah, this is going very well. But okay, so and that's a pretty unique play style for him.
Yeah, I think that's very unique. Most of the other people I have are nothing similar to how Ice Ice thinks about
Are
the
there
game.
specific
Actually, I'm pretty
hero?
sure you'll love it.
Are there specific heroes that all right? He's super annoying on.
Oh yeah, for sure. Any micro heroes, he's really annoying on. He's very good with summons, so he would block your camps constantly with like treants or broodmother spiders. He's like a micro king. The guy
Okay.
used to play StarCraft. He's really good at micro. And his legendary Timbersaw is always annoying. I remember being dove under tower. He wouldn't care about creeps or anything. He would just get out of here.
When they're on your team, so like obviously he was on your team for a little bit. Do you do you lane against him in any like practice like format or way or no?
Sometimes it depends if we're trying to learn like a specific matchup. Like, hey, we need to figure out how this hero matches up against this hero. Then we would do like lane practice, and yeah, we definitely did some with him as well.
Do those get heated? Like, do you guys really want to beat each other when you like do lane practice against each other, or it's more just kind of casual fun?
I wouldn't call it fun, and I wouldn't call it heated. It's sort of like we don't really want to do it, but we do it anyways for the knowledge.
Okay.
That's kind of how it goes.
Well, like
Yeah.
you don't want to lose the lane still.
No, you try your hardest to win the
Yeah.
lane, and you definitely try your hardest.
Okay. All right. All right. That's a good one. All right, that's a good start. All right. So let's go to number 4.
Okay, in number 4, I have ATF
Okay.
Amar the yes.
Yeah.
So his trait is that he is very patient.
Hmm.
All right, so as opposed to the annoying guy,
Hmm.
love you, Daryl.
Fly,
Um,
fly, fly calls ATF patient. Calls ice, ice, ice annoying. I already see this. Great.
yeah,
It's going
this is going
fantastic.
this is going so good.
Okay. Okay. No, but okay. So
Uh,
what makes him patient in laning?
that is funny, actually. I guess when you think about his general behavior that he's shown and calling him patient, yeah, he's super patient.
Hmm.
Um, what that means is that he doesn't really care about if you're hitting him or you're trying to harass him. He seems very calm. He doesn't let that get to him. He plays for his timings. He last hits really well. He's very very mechanically skilled in terms of just like how to maneuver the lane around and how to get proper last hits. And the other thing is that he's willing to match the enemy in terms of laning prowess items. So, for example, he's willing to buy 4 bracers to win the lane, which is, it's ridiculous, right? Like
Yeah.
you're spending 2,000 gold, but he's willing to do that. So, patience. That's the name of the game for this guy.
Now it's interesting as you're starting to go through these. Do you do scattering reports of play styles of like opposing teams, or is this just something that you just pick up because you've just played so many games against all these guys?
This is just because I played so many games against these guys. Yeah, like
Okay.
especially laning against them. You get to know the person in a way through their play and through how they do
But
things.
it's not something you guys talk about too much. Like, all right, we're playing, like when you guys play Nigma, next year or whatever, or any team. Like your strategy will be based off like the heroes and maybe overall team concept, but you guys won't have as much discussion of like individual player styles.
We definitely consider heroes first,
Hmm.
but then players do come into the picture.
Yeah, it
Actually,
does. I guess
like,
eventually, maybe. Yeah. Okay.
like we will say certain things. Like, hey, we're playing against Amar. Like Artor, when we played against him, and at least in scrims before TI, he would be like, yeah, this guy is buying 3 bracers. I need to buy 3 Wraith Bands.
Okay.
It will be specifically against him. This is how the mentality changed.
Gotcha.
So it does happen.
Okay. Okay. All right. So your third person. Go ahead.
All right. So my third person is a combo, and it's going to be 33 and Saxa, the
Okay.
TI winners.
Yeah. TI winners. Good. This is good. They had to make the list at some point, right?
Yeah, I
It,
think
wa-
they deserve the
yeah,
deserve the shout out.
that definitely for sure.
So the characteristic for these guys, and as you've noticed, I've done a characteristic for each
Yeah.
one.
No, I'm enjoying this part. Yeah.
So they're the game plan team.
Okay.
So they have a plan.
It's
The
positive.
lane. It's positive. It's positive. They have a plan. They always have some idea of how they're going to play the lane. 33 is very, he has his very specific heroes. He's nerded them out like crazy, and Saxa is going to be there to help him get to wherever he needs. Whether it's his Beastmaster, his Tidehunter, his Broodmother. They always have an idea, right? And you can feel that when you play against somebody. You're like, he knows what he's playing for.
Hmm.
And Saxa is very good at punishing mistakes. He notices the very small things that you do. Like, say you take one misstep or you miss the timing to go stack the pull or something like that. He will punish you for that. He's very, very mechanically skilled when it comes to laning.
Would you say that? See, because you pointed them out together. Would you say they have some of like the best synergy between a three and a four that you've gone against, right? Because the other ones you've given one person and kind of obviously didn't give the four that played with him in the different scenarios. So these guys, you'd say maybe if we did a top 3 and 4 pairing, you put these guys near the top.
Definitely near the top. Yeah, I do think they complement each other in how they play and how they think about the game. And it's very clear, like they've been on other teams. They've also played together in the past, and they're awesome players. By themselves, they're amazing.
Mhm.
But together, they're like this new force. And I think they were the best dual offlane in this last TI, and that says a lot.
Does that happen a lot where you just get really comfortable playing with one other person in the lane, right? Like it's interesting that 4 of the 5 players on a team, they have a partner. And so, we tend to think about these people individually, like, oh, he's a great offlaner, or oh, he's a good four, a good support. But really, it's a mini team within the team. And how much does that chemistry really matter, and how long does it take to build that chemistry?
It's actually a great question because I do think it matters quite a bit. Um, I would go as far as saying is that something we've done in the past is like lane partners. If you had to share a hotel room, you would share it with your lane partner. You
Hmm.
know, anything to sort of build that extra chemistry is really important, and you can see that in other teams too, right? You have like Rezo and Zayak who have been together, not on this list, but
Yeah,
as
yeah.
another example of chemistry being really important. And I can say from my experience, after playing with somebody in the lane, say for example, I played with Arteezy in the lane like 50 times,
Hmm.
and then I went and played with Nightfall. It didn't feel as natural. Like I wouldn't be able to understand what he wants the same way.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. You you become like an old married couple almost when you play so many games together. It's like you start to have like unspoken communication, right? Almost like you just kind of know what each other kind of needs at the time, any time in the game, which is interesting.
Yeah.
All right, number 2. We're getting up there. Maybe, but also we should write this down. We have a producer. No, oh no, we don't have a producer yet. Where we'll, in a future ranking, top duos. That's just an
Okay.
idea. I'm an ideasman. All right, number 2, number 2 on the list.
Okay. So number 2 on my list is going to be another duo, another pair.
Okay. So maybe we
um,
can't do the duo thing
yeah.
maybe in if we're still around in 6 months or 7 months, maybe we can bring it back up.
Okay. Okay. So these guys are Collapse and Mira.
Okay.
However, I specifically noted TI-10,
Mm-hmm.
the TI they've won.
Yeah, it
Um,
makes sense.
but yeah, we scrimmed against them a good amount of times, and the way I describe them is that they had the killer instinct. So they were the most punishing offlane by far
It's
when it
really
comes
good
to
that you're
killing.
friends with your. It's really good you're friends with Daryl, by the way, with Dice Ice Sense, because so far he's got. I mean, you meant it well. You meant it well, but he's the only one that's going to get taken out of context. But good. Okay, so these guys, killer instinct.
Yeah. So Collapse and Mira, killer instinct. I don't know if we even officially played them at TI, but we scrimmed them a lot before, and it's probably one of the only lanes we've ever struggled against when it came to Arteezy and myself, because Arteezy is like a really insane laner.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember we would play them in scrims. Collapse, whatever he's playing, he would play Tusker off lane. He would play these killer melee stunners like his Mars Io, and just killed us. Just killed us. So yeah.
It's interesting you say like the specific heroes they play. Just as a quick little aside to this, is there specific heroes that you hate to lane against?
Specific heroes I hate to lane against. There always are, but it does depend a little bit on the meta and stuff. So, for
Gotcha.
example, laning against Broodmother is pretty obnoxious. It's pretty obnoxious.
Fair.
But yeah.
And then you did mention like Arteezy's insane at laning. Like what makes him, and also Saberlight when he was talking about why he joined Shopify and you guys. One of the reasons he cited was Arteezy is one of the most insane laners he's ever played against.
Yeah, I mean, Arteezy's always been known for his laning prowess, and it's true. He's incredibly gifted in how he views the lane, how he mechanically, moves his hero and punishes little mistakes. He can be very aggressive if he needs to be, or he can play passive. He's just extremely smart about the little things. And
Mm-hmm.
obviously, I don't want to give away anything that would,
Yeah,
but
fair.
he's just very smart about the laning stage.
Gotcha. All right, it's time. We've slowly gone up. You didn't want to rank these to begin with. I made you rank
No.
them. That won't get included in any clips of this specific episode. So your number one hardest person to lane against.
Okay, so I'm definitely going to be throwing a curveball.
Okay.
So my number one person, the hardest person to lane against, is
So I'm the moment it's killing me here. Go ahead.
Sumail.
Oh, okay. All right. But has he ever played off lane?
No.
Okay.
Actually, he did for a very short stint.
Okay.
But anyways,
Mm-hmm. You're gonna have
I
to
will
explain
tell you
this
the
one. This
story.
feels like cheating.
I
This
will
feels
tell
like
you.
cheating, but go ahead.
Is this
It
cheating?
feels a little bit like cheating, but that's all right. Go ahead.
I remember a pub, some years ago, where I was forced to go mid, and I was against Sumail, and I got absolutely massacred. I've never felt that before. The amount of pressure I felt, it was horrible. It was mortifying.
When was
This guy is
this?
the king.
When was this?
This was around TI 8 times.
So not that long
So this
ago.
was a while ago. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, this guy I classify him as the king,
Mm-hmm.
the proper name. He is the king of mid lane, and I'm serious. This guy is absolutely insane at laning. Like,
Well, what specifically?
He's just got it everything. He's got the killer instinct. He's got the plan.
He's
You
he's
know,
got the patience. He's
he's got
he's
the
he's kind of
patience.
annoying. Oh no, he's not annoying.
He's
Only Ice was annoying, right?
only ISS gets annoying. I'm serious. He's got all those traits, and
Okay, but like, all right.
not just in the middle lane.
Mm-hmm,
All right, he did play carry,
mm-hmm.
and I did play against his carry on the lane before. Like sometimes you just go off lane as like a support. He's just really, really good at laning.
So
This guy.
okay, but like, to be fair, how many professional mid laners are you laning against, and you're feeling like you got crushed?
I have not played against many recently, but when I did, I don't think anyone was as pressure heavy as Sunil. I'll say that.
Okay, all right.
And I think a lot of people can attest to that from other pros. And like I said, not just in mid lane, I did play against him in the side lane, and the guy is just insane at laning.
All right, that's it. That's the top 5 hardest people to lane against. I can't wait. Can't wait for things to be taken out of context. I mean, I think it was a good list overall. You're pretty happy with your list.
Yeah, like I said, I don't want to put them in a particular order. I was forced to, but the king gets it all. I kind of made this as I went along, like the story of leading up to the king having it all. So.
Yeah, that was good. No, you painted a beautiful picture. If this Dota thing doesn't work out for you, maybe you get into like video game story writing or something like that.
Okay.
I think you got it.
All right. Thank you.
All right. So that's our tall ranks things. I think we need some catchy names for these segments, but that'll naturally happen as we go around it. Um, that's most of the Dota stuff. I think our listener email at the end will be a little Dota related, but I like mixing in these non Dota related topics. So let's do our Ask Reddit segment. We got a
Mhm.
fun one here. Ask Reddit again. If this is your first episode listening, pretty much there's a Reddit called Ask Reddit, and there are a bunch of random kind of philosophical questions. Some philosophical, some as simple as what's your favorite candy, what's your least favorite candy. Today's Ask Reddit is what's the smallest hill you will die on? And as somebody who's an extremely petty person, I've got a lot of hills to die on. Small hills, big hills, medium sized hills. I can die on quite a few hills. Quick little reference for or explanation if you haven't heard the term before. It's a little bit of an international audience, if you check the podcast stats. Pretty much, it's just it helps explain how important something is to you that you would die for it. Essentially, you die on defending that hill, whatever that thing is you want to defend. Um, I'll lead us off here. I will die on the hill that is tipping. Tipping is okay in general. The specific hill I will absolutely die on when it comes to tipping is tipping for takeout food. Uh, that drives me absolutely up a wall. Before we get into that specific thing, tipping in general, I'm not against it. I want to make that clear. I'm not just like cheap anti-tipping person. Like go to a restaurant, right? Good. Even if I have a bad service at a restaurant, I give minimum 20%. That's I think as a waiter or waitress, you get you. It's not easy to wait tables to bring people food, and that's just built into that industry. I'm cool with that. But there's just I feel like over the years, a lot of scenarios, a lot of businesses have just kind of built in tipping and tried to make it the norm. And there's a lot of unnecessary tipping. And the
Mhm.
and the specific one again is if I order food from somewhere and I drive to that restaurant to pick up the food, and then I have to sign for the receipt. I pay with a credit card, and they put that little line on there that says, "Do you want to add a tip?" I mean, are you tipping in this situation when you pick up food?
Oh, I would never.
No, but people,
100%.
I think people do. Sometimes I get guilted into it. Like in the back of my head, I'm like, the line's there. It says tip. Maybe I throw them $2. But I don't know. So that there are people I think that tip in those scenarios, and I'm very against that.
I honestly, this is definitely one of the top things I would put on, on the hill I would die on. Generally, the tipping industry, I'm not a fan of it. I know that it's because, especially in places like the US, it's just that they don't pay the waiters enough, or whoever's doing the services, and they basically, that's how they get part of their money. But I do love it when I go to Asia and there's just no tipping at all. Like, you finish your meal, they just get paid whatever they're supposed to get paid. Like the restaurant, they give the money to their employees, and it's so much better. I just love it.
Yeah, I think that's the key, right? So there's the two aspects to it. One is the employees have built it into their system. I'm not saying these people shouldn't be paid, right? But the employees have built it into their business models to underpay their employees to make you feel like you have to tip them. And the employers are the one who kind of get off in this situation. So that was the one I was going to ask you was different countries, right? They have different kind of philosophies with tipping. So Asia's good. America's probably the worst in your experience.
I think most countries in the West that I've been to do have the same thing when it comes to tipping. Like, you would eat at a restaurant and you would have to include, whatever, 10 to 20%.
The other part with tipping that gets me is, like, it's a lot of times it's like unwritten rules of tipping, and it's like socially I'm unaware of how much am I supposed to tip, what is an acceptable amount of tip. If I have a taxi and a guy takes my luggage, puts it in the trunk, and then takes it out of the trunk. Oh no, not a taxi. Like, if you take a shuttle bus, right? If you take a shuttle bus and like to the airport, and the guy puts your luggage into the trunk for you and takes it out, I got to give that guy $3. And then, like, some people give him the money, and then, well, if he's giving him money, do I have to give him the money? It's I don't even care about the $3. It's, or whatever it is. It's then I get roped into this awkward interaction where I gotta have cash on me and hand the guy a couple bills, and I don't know. It's socially crippling to me, I think.
I think it's confusing. Like, you would, exactly like you said, you would go into a taxi or something, you pull up at a hotel and they come and take your bags, and I'm like, oh, I can take that, it's okay.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, I insist. And then you're like, oh, so I have to pay you now?
Because you carried my bag 10 feet. It's like, I totally could have carried my bag by myself. That's another thing. It's the option of, right? Like valet parking is another one where if I go to a place, I can park my own car. You know what I mean? And I think if you go to a place, right, and some places give you the option. Here's valet parking. Here's no valet parking. It's a little bit farther away. You got to walk, right? If there's optional non-valet parking and I choose to go valet parking, then I'll tip them, right? Like, because they gave me the option at least. And I took the valet parking kind of knowing that I was going to give them $5-10 or whatever. But it's these places you go to and you can only valet park, right? And then it's like, well, I just want to park my car. I could do that, So I don't know. I'm this is one where I'm interested. Please leave a comment down below if you're watching on the YouTube video, or shoot us, maybe respond to your Twitter. We need to set up an email. And because I want to hear about people's feelings on tipping, and especially in different countries or in different situations. But I feel like we need to get rid of it. I think that's it. I think we should get rid of it. Make the employers pay their people the right amount.
Yeah, I think Asia has it right 100%. So, all
right, what is your smallest hill you'll die on?
I mean, tipping is up there for sure. But since I had to choose one, I went with pineapple does not belong on pizza. And surely this is a hot take for some people.
Some would argue this is a mountain. The more I think about it, this is kind of a mountain for some people. But no, go ahead. So you're anti pineapple on pizza. This is the classic argument, and unfortunately, I too am anti pineapple on pizza. So I won't be able to really push back on you too much, but give me your reason pineapple doesn't belong on pizza.
Right. So, I'm not an expert on pizza or anything, but I've traveled around. I've been to Italy plenty of times.
Mm-hmm.
I've had New York pizza. I've had the famous pizzas of the world, and to some degrees. And pineapple just doesn't make any sense on a pizza. It's simple as that, really.
Yeah, it
Right?
really is.
It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up.
My son likes 2.5-year-old likes to eat the pineapple off of the pizza, right? But he never takes a bite of pineapple and pizza at the same time, and that just shows you exactly what you're talking about. He's a baby. He's not influenced by the world, right? He's uninfluenced by all this pineapple propaganda, and
Hmm.
he knows like, oh, I like pineapple. Let me pick it off the pizza and eat it. And he knows combining some salty bread like thing with a beautifully sweet fruit that is pineapple doesn't make any sense.
I mean, children don't lie.
No.
So this is
Well,
actually,
he lies
you've
quite a
just.
bit.
Plus, you're Italian.
I am kind of. I mean, there's some Italian heritage in the blood.
Exactly. So, like, you actually can't even say that pineapple goes on pizza because
This could cause some people to turn off the podcast. People, there's very strong pineapple. My wife loves pineapple on pizza. My sister-in-law loves they love pineapple on pizza, but it's not for me.
Huh.
Couple other ones that I noticed on Reddit that I want to point out that I thought were funny. Um, one that's funny. I didn't mention this before to you, but somebody said one bless you should cover the whole sneeze session. Like,
That's good. That's good.
yeah, that's actually great. How many times have you been in a situation where someone sneezes, you give them the bless you, and then they sneeze 2 or 3 more times, and it's like, sometimes in the past before I did the one sneeze rule, you'd say bless you the second time, and then if they sneeze a third time, you can't just stop after the second one if you already give them the first one. You know what I mean? So that one I thought was funny on Reddit.
That one's good. Yeah. If you go with two, it's over. You have to keep going. It just seems like one of those unspoken
Yeah.
rules that I didn't even think about until now. So.
There was this other one. This one also hit pretty home for me too. They said at four-way stops that there's no place for pleasantries. Like, go when it's your turn. Don't try to let people go. And this actually, when I read this, felt like it. I wish it was mine, because one of my biggest pet peeves when it comes to driving is when someone waves me on when they have the right of way. Like they're being this very nice person and waving me on. The problem is this: you're waving me on, right? Oh, make a left turn in front of me. Go ahead, I'll wait. Not a problem, right? Even though they have the absolute right of way. If they're just an asshole and they decide to go, like, oh yeah, go ahead, you have the right of way, or go ahead, I'm going to let you go, and they just decide to go and hit me, when the cops come, they're gonna be like, oh, they had the right of way. I'm like, no, they waved me on. Cops be like, no, they had the right of way. So like, when someone waves you on, you think twice about going, because if they're a psychopath and they just hit you, you're done. You're at fault. And when they waved you on, there's no evidence of the wave. So please stop waving people on. Know the right of way. Listen to the rules of the road. And this one, like I said, I wish was mine.
Right. So just wondering, what happens if they wave you on,
Mm-hmm.
like you go ahead, and then you wave them back, and then they wave again? What
I
happens then?
wait. This
You
happened. This
wait?
happened a month ago. I was in a parking lot coming out from my work. I work in a pretty complicated, it's a shopping center with pretty bad traffic design, and this person was waving me on, right, and they had the right of way. I was like, no. I was like, no, you go. I'm not gonna go, right? And they said, no, I'm waving you on. And I was like, I'm not moving. I'll sit here. And I sat there for like 20 seconds. Like, it was like 10 to 20 seconds. And
Oh my goodness.
eventually they got mad at me for not going when waving on, but I won't go. It's go when you're supposed to go. You know what I mean? That's the end. That's these are the rules of the road. We've all agreed upon them. We've all taken tests to get our driver's license. Just follow the rules of the road. It's really that easy.
Good for you for standing up for it. That's very good. That's very
You
good.
know what's funny is it actually turned out to be one of my customers that came into my store.
Oh no!
They didn't come in that day. It was like once they drove
Oh,
by, I was like, "Oh, I know that person. Like that person is a
oh my.
customer of mine." And I don't think they noticed it was me. But maybe they did. I don't know. They came in
Okay,
a month later and it was fine. But it was
that's actually
yeah.
hilarious. Okay.
All right, so those are our small hills. Some would argue mountains, or they're small hills that we make mountains. Maybe that's the way to look at it. Um, let's finish up the podcast with a little listener mailbag. This one I kind of found on Reddit, so it's not totally a listener mailbag. We had a couple options, but we'll save those for another one because I thought this was pretty interesting. Um, the question was, which was Dota related, was which hero or item would you get rid of uh, if you could get rid of one thing? And and I mentioned this to you. The top answer on there was bottle. People wanted to get rid of the bottle, and I guess that would just really drastically change the mid lane. And you were kind of against it. You kind of thought it was a bad idea.
Yeah, I think I've looked at all the items in Dota, and in my head everything made sense because everything had a purpose,
Mm-hmm.
right? This item is in the game to specifically answer for this or that, and bottle is one that gives a lot of the mid heroes a way to play the game, right? You look at all these Ember Spirits and Storm Spirits and these spell casting heroes. They need bottle to be able to do something. So if bottle was gone, they would need an alternative because else you would only see heroes like Sniper and Huskar mid, heroes who don't need bottle, and then the entire game is it's just you're just killing the mid hero pool.
You
So
think
I don't like removing
so?
bottle.
You think it would really it would have the effect of taking maybe like let's say 70% of heroes are playable, and it would just bring the pool like down by a large number. Like instead of shifting the meta, like it would shift the meta, but it would shift the meta into like a much smaller hero pool choice.
It would be drastic, and yeah, it would just make it so we play so many less heroes. And I think that's the exact opposite of what Dota is,
Yeah,
in a way.
that's true. Do they ever do stuff like this? Do they ever remove items?
Yeah, I mean the notable one is Necrobook.
Okay,
Um,
you have to let me know what that
and
was.
Okay, so Necrobook was the item that was used by all the zoo heroes, like the summon heroes, right? You would have Beastmaster, he would buy a Necrobook, and that would be basically the replacement of Helm of the Dominator 2.
Okay,
That's currently what's in the game. So they did get a replacement for that, in a way. They removed Necrobook, which was an item for zoo, and instead you got Helm of the Dominator 2, and you got Wraith Pact later on. So they came up with replacements. If you remove Bottle, you're going to need a replacement.
okay. So So you disagree with the redditors who want to remove bottle? I like that.
I disagree with the
Yeah,
Redditors there. I said it.
the redditors they can be wrong. Um, what what would you remove if you could remove one thing?
Okay, so my not so serious answer would be if you removed like Staff of Wizardry,
Okay,
okay? It's not a complete item, it's literally a component.
okay.
You would basically ruin so many items for everybody that would just be hilarious to see what people have to like how they would redesign that. But if I had to choose an actual item
Well,
right
hold on,
now,
hold on, hold on. So
um,
so the idea of removing the staff is just you would completely shake up everyone's item builds because it's such a core component of so many different item builds that people would have to just build all new strategies.
oh yeah, it will change so many items in the game that I don't even know what the answer is going to be. You know,
That seems fun.
that seems fun. I hope they don't do it. Don't listen to me.
Don't listen to
But
okay, so then what's the thing you would actually remove?
right now, the only item I could think of is Bloodstone, just because there are not that many heroes that actually use it in Dota. So finding some sort of replacement shouldn't be too difficult,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's basically like a Leshrac and a Razor and maybe some other experimental ones, but really it's only two heroes, and Razor is like the new one. So I think the item can be a little ridiculous, especially in pubs when you can't answer it properly.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't mind seeing it go, because I mean the obvious answer was Wraith Pact, but I don't want to get in, choose
That
that
was
one
gonna be my
again.
follow up. Was like, should they just remove Wraith Pact?
Yeah, I felt like that one's an obvious. Everybody knows they should remove Wraith Pact. So
Gotcha.
Bloodstone's the other one, and I don't think it'll be too hard to find a replacement.
What about a hero? I don't know if you probably didn't prep this answer, but I'm gonna spring it on you. What's one hero you'd remove from the game?
Oh man. Okay, so I don't really want to remove any hero from the game, but for the sake of argument, I can think of 2 heroes that are up there in my potential removal list.
Okay.
So the first one is an old school, hated hero, which is Sniper.
Okay.
Because the sound of headshot is by far the most triggering thing in the entire game.
So it's just the sound. You're fine with the hero. It's the sound.
It's a sound, yeah. Like I don't know. Have you heard it? Like, do you know what it sounds like?
No.
It's like this quack. Like he hits you, and there's a quack, and you get this like little mini stun on your hero. So you feel the quack. Your hero feels it.
I think
you're getting stunned.
I think we need to cut this part from the podcast, because if not, I feel like you're picked against Raid. There might be a lot more snipers in your game.
I don't even mind the hero. Just remove the sound. That's fine for me. I'll take that.
All right. So the second hero you'd remove.
Okay, the second one is Marcy.
Okay. Interesting.
So I know there's so many Marcy fans out there because of the anime and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But she's conceptually ridiculous as a hero. She's just ridiculous.
I saw you play her in one of your last streams. I've definitely ever seen you play Marcy.
I won
before.
that game.
Did you win?
Yeah, I won that game.
All right, there you go.
She's fun. But anyways.
She is fun. It seems a lot of fun, but just she has too many tools, or just her specific tools are overpowered. Just her toss back, her ability to stun from such a far distance out, and then also like get her heroes out. It's just too broken. There's too many things.
It's just every one of her spells, it's conceptually overpowered, right? They had to tone her down so much, and she's still good. Like people think people look at the changes like, oh, she's unplayable now. She's still good, because her kit is just way too silly. She's too punishing, you could say.
Yeah. So maybe they remove like 2 of her abilities. Maybe they build around maybe one of the core moves, but not just remove her. No one really likes Marcy anyway, right? Everyone loves Marcy.
Everyone loves Marcy. Okay, guys, don't hate don't hate on me now.
That was good. I sprung that one on you, but yeah, that's like the Dota Reddit question segment. We'll figure out, maybe if we can't come up with a listener mailbag, we switch it up with this Dota Reddit question. Yeah, that's all I got. It's a good place to wrap it up. That was a fun one. I like ranking things. Did you have fun ranking things?
I did. I can't wait to see what people do with this.
I can't wait.
So I'm excited for that.
Maybe nothing. Maybe no one will take anything out of context. I think everything will probably be in context, and Daryl Ice will in no way someone send him a news article link that says Fly called you annoying. No way will that happen in any possible scenario. This was good. This was awesome. We'll see what we do with the holidays. Kind of keep an eye on your Twitter, whether we're able to record over Christmas. We'll see. But again, we thank everyone for tuning in. If you can, like the video, if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. Follow the podcast wherever you get it, wherever you're listening to it. Send us either at your Twitter. Send us questions that you want us to talk about. You have a Discord as well. If we pop in on your stream, that you can join and talk to us. We're both in there. There's an episode discussion if you want to join in on the conversation. This was fun. Appreciate everyone for hanging out, coming in, checking out the podcast. We will catch you guys on the next one.